I am Babla Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, hundreds of Cameroonians take to the streets demanding that the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, should step down and that his government should give way to a new class of political leaders who will take the country out of the troubled waters in which it finds itself today. They were protesting on the streets of Douala and in the west region and some other parts of the country. One person was shot dead today and another wounded by alleged separatist fighters in Tiko, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, and the town of Bamenda and other parts of the northwest region of the country are under the yoke of ghost town imposed by pro-independence fighters within the context of the 4-year deepening socio-political and security tensions. Blood continues spilling in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon hit by socio-political and security tensions for close to 4 years today. Tiko, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, recorded one death today and another person was injured allegedly by pro-independence fighters in that part of the country. And Derek Jato files in details.
6 a.m. Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Tiko subdivision, gateway into the southwest region, registered one death. He was shot on the steering while driving from Tiko to Mutengeni, here at Likoma. The bullet got this taxi driver in the chest. He lost control and the car ended here. The driver of this truck was also attacked, shot in the leg. In that confusion and pain, he wheeled the truck off the road, resulting to another accident. The truck driver is presently receiving treatment at the hospital. The unidentified gunman left behind traces. It is alleged that the attack was carried out by separatist fighters. The nationwide protest called by Professor Maurice Kamto, president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, announced for this 22nd September, and the attack on civilians in Tiko subdivision allegedly by separatist fighters all contributed in paralyzing activities as the day was full of uncertainty.
Reporting there, and the ghost continues running on the streets of the northwest regional chief town Bamenda, sending the people indoors or into the bushes. Operation Ghost Town, imposed by pro-independence fighters in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, is still leaving streets deserted, and the town of Bamenda activities were paralyzed in several parts of the town of Bamenda today. Frederic Takan is on the line.
Bamenda has observed this beginning of the third week a ghost town after commercial bikes were restricted to circulate in some area in Bamenda. Major streets like Commercial Avenue, Old Town, Ghana Street were deserted. Shop and market are closed for several weeks now, except Saturday and Sunday. Area like Nkwen, Upstation were a little bit busy with some private car and inhabitants seen along the street. For the past week now, Bamenda is under the operation known as Bamenda Clean. Some major military actions are carried out in some quarters in Bamenda. Some houses are searched as well as vehicles. Some inhabitants says this operation has forced them to close shop and other activities. But government says the operation is to ensure Bamenda is safe, a safe place to be, a safe place to stay, insisting that they have not asked inhabitants to close, but rather than ensuring inhabitants to carry on their activities. For now, some major streets were seen with a military vehicle along, trying to ensure that those who are carrying out their activities should be safe.
As indicated by ETV's Frederick Takan reporting, in the northwest regional chief town, Bamenda, and inhabitants of the northwest region, the situation is further worsened by military operations going on with the intention, according to military leaders, to put an end to separatist activities in the northwest and, of course, in the southwest region of the country as well. And today was a day that will be marked with the red pen in the political history of the Republic of Cameroon. The population took to the streets today, demanding the ousting of President Paul Biya. Hundreds of them took to the streets here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, demanding that the head of state should step down and that his government should give way to a new class of political leaders who they believe will solve the many problems affecting the country today. Details with Innocent.
Vindokoti protest started at the Trades filling station. From claps and blowing of whistles to freedom chants. Protesters braved the presence of security and defense forces and marched towards BPCT. Here, they were repressively confronted later by gendarmes and police officers. Tear gas was fired at them to disperse. In Mabanda, Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision, over 20 protesters were arrested after brutality. Frightened traders at the Mabanda market ran in fear for their lives.
The protests orchestrated by some opposition political parties, including the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, and the Popular Action Party, brought activities to a near halt in several parts of the town of Douala. In some parts of the town, there was something similar to what is being observed in the northwest region of the country, a ghost town. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
Business activities on standstill in several localities in Douala. Here at the Douche Municipal Market in Aqua Douala, traders and buyers prefer to stay indoors for the fear of the unknown. A similar scenario is witnessed in Dokoti in the Douala 3 subdivision. Activities are equally grounded in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 subdivision. The Douala Central Market, which used to be full to capacity, now counts just a handful of traders and buyers as activities have been partially paralyzed. You can see the area is empty. A lot of people are scared to leave their houses because of the problem the country is facing. We are not feeling at ease in our own country. Even though we decided to come to the market, we are still scared because anything can happen. The protest action carried out by members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, which provoked the deployment of security agents on major road junctions in Douala, provoked an atmosphere of fear, forcing several residents to remain indoors.
And some business persons around the Douala Central Market attributed the destruction of their business sites by elements of the Douala City Council to the protest, the anti-government protest organized by some opposition political parties. They think that it was not right for the City Council to destroy the business sites over what they consider as a violation of their rights, and of course they were expressing the anger and frustration after their business sites were demolished by agents of the Douala City Council. It should be noted that the Douala City Council has been carrying out this kind of operation for some time now to get the city rid of urban disorder. Take a listen to one of the Douala City dwellers who spoke to Equinoxe Television. Traders around the Douala Central Market picking up the crumbs from the destruction exercise which occurred today, and of course that destruction exercise enters the framework of the fight against urban disorder by the Douala City Council, and all these makeshift structures around the Douala Central Market were demolished today. Take a listen. We'll be coming back to that in our subsequent news editions. And in the early hours of the day, people were going about their daily activities normally in the several parts of the town. Some of them told us that they were going about their daily activities because today wasn't a public holiday, and also because they wanted to see what was going to happen. Some said they came out because they want to take part in the process of change in the country. Take a listen to some of them. We choose to work because we want to see what is happening. It is said that the whole place will be militarized, so we cannot stay indoors because we need change.
Nous tous, nous on veut le changement. Je suis surpris parce que partout là, dans le quartier, dans les villes, on annonce vol.
I am surprised because when there is robbery, the police is not there to intervene. But see, they are here. When people are attacked, we call them, but they don't come.
Quand il y a agression, on appelle, ils disent qu'on arrête, il n'y a personne en poste. Là, c'est curieux quand même. Ça me fait penser particulièrement à l'intimidation.
This is intimidation because in times of need, they are not there. But for something that has not happened, they are here.
C'est mettre les gens dans la psychose.
There was supposed to be a protest, but officers, police officers who have militarized the whole town. This day has not been declared a public holiday, so I don't see why I will not go to work. Contrary to what happened here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, where security and defense forces used tear gas to disperse the protesters, it was rather a peaceful protest in some parts of the west region of the country. The population, some inhabitants of the Upper Kam and Upper Plateau divisions, came out in their numbers to express their disappointment with the current administration in Cameroon. For me, I'm Strong Sander.
The streets of Baham in the Upper Plateau Division, West region of Cameroon, were not left out of the nationwide peaceful protest demonstration in Cameroon. Chanting liberation chants with the green, red and yellow flag, displaying placards and moving from one end of the town to the other. The protesters say democracy is here. In Bafang, chief town of the Upper Camp division of the same region, a crowd of protesters is seen face to face with elements of the forces of law and order. In a non-violent argument with police and gendarmerie elements, the protesters could be heard repeating the phrase, "We are Cameroonians and we have our rights. Democracy is not war." Unlike in other parts of Cameroon, the West region recorded no violent scene of the September 22, 2020 nationwide protest demonstration.
All right, that was a report there on what happened in some parts of the west region of the country with regards to the protests organized today by some opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon. Now we remain in the west region of the country, but we'll take you to the Noon division, and there for me, Armstrong Sander shows us a project that has been abandoned, a rice production project. His report.
The entire Nguda plain underlying the Mount Bapit in the Fumbot and Kutaba subdivisions of the Noon division of the west region of Cameroon will not be able to have its rice this year, according to local farmers. They say the machine which they used in developing cultivable plot got bad over the year and has been abandoned by management. Several requests for repair were filed without success to the divisional delegation of agriculture for the Noon division in Fumban, another to the regional delegation in Bafusam, chief town of the west region, as well as to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Accused of poor management, the local farmers say the director of the Mount Bapit project is not only aware that the machine is down, but has been reminded several times in his capacity as the director of the Bapit Plain project. The breakdown in the machine has not only halted rice cultivation at the Bapit Plain from Gudop to Baigom, but has also rendered thousands of young people jobless, provoking rural exodus according to the local population. The 3,000 hectares rice cultivation project was created in 1984 by La Société Camerounaise SEDA. The structure has migrated from Minagri to become PDRM today under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development.
Before we move on to the second part of this newscast, we should indicate that at least 4 media practitioners were arrested today in the course of the anti-government protests in some parts of the country. They were picked up by security and defense forces in Yaoundé and Douala during the anti-government protests. Équinoxe TV's Rodrigue Ngassi, an audio-visual technician, was arrested at the Tudi market in Yaoundé, undressed and taken to the First Central Police District in the town, and thanks to the intervention of the general manager of Equinoxe Radio and Television, and of course the Center, South and East Regional Bureau Coordinator Gizogo Rodrigue has been released. Barrister Sim Emmanuel is following up the case of Ludovic Ndijo of La Nouvelle Expression newspaper. And here in Douala, journalist of my media Prime TV, Taj Jarvis Mai, was equally arrested around Rompuandedo. He was covering the protests and of course organized by some opposition political leaders. Taj Jarvis Mai is also a blogger, CEO of Taj Jarvis or Ta News Agency. The Cameroon English-speaking Journalists Association has condemned his arrest, calling for his immediate release. And of course, other journalists arrested today include Tebong Christian. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for staying with us in Talking Points. Today we are receiving a peace crusader. He has been working and striving for peace within the Cameroonian society, and he is joining us today. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Ategi Samuel, you're a peace crusader, and you recently received a prize from the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon for your efforts in line with restoring peace and consolidating peace in the country.
Yes, you're right. For the past years, I've been moving on with peace crusade in different localities in the Northwest region especially, and also the Southwest region. Then I've been able to go to the Federal Republic of Nigeria about 4 times to visit the Cameroonian refugees that are there. So that's what we've been doing throughout these past years of the Anglophone crisis.
All right, let me ask you, you are a young person, I think you're 26 years old. What is your driving force? What is motivating you to fight for peace in Cameroon?
Yes, we all understand that each time the country is not in unity, each time there is a crisis, youth suffer the most. And during this crisis, as young persons, we have suffered the most. We've been radicalized by the non-state armed groups and both the Cameroon security forces. So I thought that since young people are most vulnerable to during all types of crisis, I should come up and see how we can help young people to stay out of any form of violence that may jeopardize their future. That's what gives me the push. Then as I am growing up, I know that I have 2 hands. One of the hand is to help myself and the other is to stretch to another person. So we love the young persons, and since we see young persons have been dying because of violence, extremism and all of that, I think that if I come as a young person and educate my peers, they will be able to shun away from these risky behaviors, which they will not lose their lives again.
All right, before we go further to talk about peace, many of the young people which you're talking about were on the streets today here in Douala and in some parts of the West region. They come and Upper Plateau divisions protesting and asking that the President of the Republic should step down, the President regime should give way to a new class of political leaders who will restore peace in the country, who will solve the many problems affecting the country. As a peace crusader, what's your take on that move by young people?
Okay, thank you very much. I think as a peace crusader and someone as a humanitarian actor, I will say we condemn violence communication. I stand for non-violent communication in all its forms. So I think that there is a better way to address issues like this. I stand for impartiality and I'm independent. So I think that young persons or those who are seeking for a new presidency, they should channel it to the right quarters and see how we can not communicate violently, to see how this transition can come into a peaceful agreement. So I believe that there are other ways to pass across these informations than moving on the streets.
There are other ways to send across a message to obtain the required or needed change than taking to the streets.
Yes.
And of course, some of the young people will say that their voices are not being heard. They have been speaking, they have been channeling issues to the right quarters, as you said, but their voices seem not to be heard. And that is why they think that the only option is to take to the streets.
Well, I will say that is very true. Young persons in Cameroon have not been given the opportunity to sit where decision makers are. We have always been sidelined as young persons, and we make up almost 60 or 65% of the total population of Cameroon. But I think that the government should also give us the opportunity to see how we can channel our own worries peacefully in order for this country to change, because we young persons, we are the ones that we are going to take over the country in some point in time. But if we are not well trained, if a particular person stays in power for that long, young persons will be discouraged. The truth is that so many young persons have grown and they had dreams to become presidents and to become ministers and all of that, but since they don't give us a voice, we think that we are sidelined and we make up the total population. So if those elder people are still there till now, and if they don't give us the opportunity, when they are not there, who are going to take on the baton of command? So they should always give us the opportunity to also include us in decision making in all its forms.
Right. If I got you rightly, that can be done without violence.
Yes, it can be done
destruction,
without destruction.
No hate speech, for example, because in some of the statements released here and there by the protesters, there is hate speech and kind of what you qualified as violent communication.
Yes, I have been in the Northwest region for all this while, and I know what we are going through, and also I know the kind of struggles the young persons are going through. So I am saying we should not engage into risky activities, because if you use hate speech and you're being arrested or you are being shot, you just for once, and if you are being shot, there will nobody to take up the command as we are vying for the position. So I am standing as a non-violent communication for us to shun away from hate speech in all its forms. That's what we stand as humanitarian actors.
All right, let's talk about peace now. What are young people in Cameroon today expected to do to restore peace where there is no peace and to consolidate peace where there is?
Okay, I think that the first things that the young persons are supposed to do is when they give us the opportunity for our voices to be heard. Once they give us that opportunity, young people are very versatile. We have that energy in us. We have our own dreams, so many of those dreams. But we see that since we are not given this opportunity, that is why we take up our arms. But I am calling on the young persons to be calm, and let's continue to hope that one day things will be different, and let's continue to study and also carry out research on how we can peacefully grow as young persons and engage ourselves into the community in which we live in.
You said that you went to Nigeria, probably under the umbrella of your organization, Mandela Voluntary Foundation, to see the persons who are now refugees, Cameroonians who are now refugees in neighboring Nigeria. What did you see? What did you hear from them?
Yes, the situation is very bad, I must confess. When you go to the Adangom refugee settlement in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you're going to see malnourished children. You're going to see people that are very sick and they don't have money to go to hospital. Even food, people don't have food to eat, and they work for the local community for menial jobs for very little payment. For example, a brick that is molded here for maybe 50 francs, but is molded in Nigeria for like 5 naira, which is about 15 or 5 francs. So the situation there is not the best. I have gone there 4 times, and each time we go there, you keep crying because our people are suffering in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They suffer a lot. Sometimes they get up and they don't even have food to eat. Some don't even have houses to sleep. They still sleep in tents, they still sleep under the cold, and they are exposed to several diseases. So the situation in Nigeria is a very bad one.
Now, what did they tell you while you were there with regards to the situation back home and other things?
Well, some of them will be really happy to come back when the crisis is over. And some of them have decided not to ever come back, because when they sit and think of their family members that have been killed, when they sit and think of their homes that have been burned, they really feel bad, and they really need psychosocial support in order of them to come back to Cameroon. So the situation there is very bad. While some pray that the things should return to normal for them to come back, some say even things return to normal, they will never come back again.
Why will they not come back? Did they tell you why?
Well, something that they will, in future, they will live a better life in Nigeria than being in Cameroon, to see the graves of their late parents, to see their homes that have been burned, and to have that memory will come afresh to them. So they have decided that they wouldn't come back, because each time they visit maybe their compound, that memory will come back afresh. So we think that they
want to give themselves a new identity and forget about everything that has happened.
Yes, for sure. Some have been there for long, and they already have the cultures and tradition there in Nigeria. They already speak Nigeria English. Some are already making their businesses there, and they have decided to stay there. So if we don't cancel them socially, if we don't give them psychosocial support, they won't come back again.
Now, when you spoke to some of them, they indicated that they actually wanted to come back home. Now, many of them did not have the opportunity to listen to you, and some may be listening to you now. What will you tell them with regards to the mindset that they should have concerning the situation back home, concerning their home country? Because many in that difficult situation would certainly be developing some kind of hatred towards authorities, towards their home country, towards many other people involved in what has happened to them, and so on.
Well, I will tell them that anything that has a beginning must have an end, and one day this crisis will end, and they have to come back to their homes to take care of their siblings, to take care of the children that they've abandoned. So if they don't come back, maybe their family lineage, the name will be wiped off. So they should better come back and continue to build their communities. And also, a lot of children that have been abandoned, separated children, they will come back and they identify them, those orphanages that we'll be visiting, so that they can reintegrate them to their families and the community as well. So my word to them is for them to come back when things return to normal.
Within the national territory, you said that you've been visiting different parts of the country, notably the two Anglophone regions of the country, preaching peace and so on. What exactly have you been doing with regards to peace and efforts to restore peace?
Okay, I have been engaged into workshops, conferences. We gather young persons and have workshops and conferences with them. Sometimes we use social media to pass across the information, the transformation information to young persons and all of that. And also we use the media so much, especially the radio, to communicate to young persons, and we re-educate young persons through these media outlets to make sure that we restore peace in the Northwest and Southwest region. So I've organized a lot of conferences, maybe like 18 to 20 conferences and workshops. Then on the radio maybe twice a week to talk on peace and security, and to talk about youth radicalization and violence, extremism, and non-violent communication as well.
Has it been easy? The people that you have been meeting receptive?
Well, a lot of them are very, very receptive, I must say. But some of them are, as they have been radicalized and they have lost maybe a family member or a piece of land or their house, sometimes they don't want to give you the listening ear, because they feel like if I give you the ear, will my father that died, my mother, my brother, will he come back to life? But we tell them that no, even though they are not alive, but you don't want to join them to die too. So give us that listening ear so that we can together build ourselves and the communities in which we live in.
Right. And how far do you intend to go with that? What are some of the challenges that you're facing in carrying this message of peace to the people?
Yes, like as a humanitarian actor, we pass a lot of situations, maybe challenges, because sometimes you go to a community, you don't have access to that community. Sometimes you are hungry. Sometimes you meet people where they don't even have food like yourself. Sometimes you meet cops as you're going along the way. So it's a very difficult situation, especially as a young person, which maybe our organization is self-funded. We don't have some international organizations that they sponsor us. So sometimes it is really challenging to go and preach peace in the hinterlands, because we always go to the grassroots, but sometimes it's really difficult because of lack of finances as well.
Have you gone close to some administrative authorities? The President of the Republic said he is a man of peace. He's a peace crusader like you. and other authorities, have you gone close to some of them to seek for help so that you can better carry on this peace mission?
No, I haven't gone there. As I earlier said, that as humanitarians we have our core principle, and one of the principles is neutrality. And when you are neutral, you don't lean either with the government or with the population. If we do something on peace and security and the government feels, or an individual or a company feels that we are doing something to help the community, then they should come to us. We don't go to the government, because if you go to the government and take funding, when you go back to the community, the non-state armed groups will know that you've gone and taken funding from the government and they will not listen to you. So as a neutral body, as an independent body, we do things with the little funding we have, and when people support us on what we are doing, maybe individuals, they come to assist in order for us to continue with our peace crusade. Neutrality is a core principle in humanitarian activities.
All right, Atigi Samuel, a peace crusader, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on Equinoxe Television.
We wish you the best.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.